Hey, Gutfoxx here. Sometimes this game could be a fickle mistress, we'll say, and it can treat you awful. And I had one of those days. Well, at least one of those games. Overall, the day was fine, but we got some new cards. I'll go through the awfulness here in a second. We'll go through clips of the new cards, and I'll give my thoughts on them as we're there. We can just kind of look through them right now. One of the new cards, I guess I should have put him here front and center. Is this Chase Utley card? No, it is second baseman Alfonso Soriano here. So we can compare him to like a switch hitter that we've had basically for doing the tops now. So kind of free-ish. Really what you like here is the extra contact and power on the Soriano, along with the extra speed and fielding and everything here. But overall, Soriano can play any position. The issue is, I didn't really like him. I know a lot of people are like, oh yeah, like, probably like second best, middle infielder right now if you don't include the cap. Because I would say Cattell is still better than this guy, but I don't know. There was something about him that just did not do it for me. I didn't like him. I gotta show you those things. His stats look nice though. That's the crazy thing. His stats look pretty good. We also got Jimmie Foxx out of headliners. Great against lefties. A little bit worse against righties than you want to see. Not that great defensively. The issue is like I think we're moving to a righty meta. Okay, and I'll talk about that in a second once we go through. We also got Irod. I guess you can compare the two here on this screen. Irod himself. Yeah, great at defense, but like catcher defense doesn't really matter this year. It feels like it's weird. They kind of like go up and down every like other year. It feels like it matters, and then it doesn't matter. We got this Bob Feller here with a really nice per nines, and then Outlier, right? Like I feel like this game starts to get a lot less fun when Outlier starts to rear its ugly head, and the fact that he's got a 95-mile-per-hour sinker. So basically, like you can main the sinker, which same thing I talked about with Bobby Miller. Now they both are very wild, and we'll look at that in a second. But you main the sinker, and then you blow them by with a fastball, like on the third strike or something, because they're used to the sinker timing. And then you kind of load the changeup slider curve off of that. Although the curve's kind of visible out of the hand, and it won't get a lot of swings and misses, or people just won't be fooled by it. The par sizes are large on him. So overall, like, is this game getting to that area? Because we got Bob Feller now, who's, granted a little bit pricey for 75K there. We then have Yuri Perez, outlier, sinker, which is a really good pitch. Bobby Miller and Randy Johnson. And now Randy Johnson, you see that a lot. And now he's a lefty. So the game might actually be switching back more to a righty meta. So you might be able to fit in another lefty into your lineup if you do enjoy lefties like I do. So you might end up wanting to go ahead and maybe go back to Chase Utley. Maybe go back to Joe Mauer if you do have the live series complete for them. Otherwise, there's nothing ever wrong with Ellie Rutschman. People still really enjoy using him. But yeah, maybe you can look to add another lefty to your lineup that you had to take out for one reason or another because of the lefty heavy meta. Now, we are still going to see, I think right now it's probably down to like 50-50 lefty-righty that you'll see. You still see a bunch of people running Dallas Keuchel because he's really good, David Price really good, etc. But that's kind of, I just want to kind of touch on that. Oh, also, we have Eric Gagne here too, who added to the game. The curveball is just man, it's so good. I think I like the splitter more than the Vulcan though. Although the Vulcan moves better. Maybe I should have tried out the Vulcan a little bit more than the splitter. But yeah, overall Gagne plays like Gagne. Not an outlier fastball, so he won't be one of the best relievers in the game. But overall, he's got a decent pitch mix. But yeah, he's fine, I'd say. I really like his per nines. Anyways, let's go ahead and go on why this game can really screw you over. Now, here is a sequence of events. Let's go ahead and go on this one first, okay? So we got me right there pitching here. And so SDS has a major problem in their game. And the issue with their game right now is the fact that, their fielding stinks, right? This pitcher needs to be covering home, okay? So he missed his bunt, tried to, suicide squeeze it at home, okay? So I chase after him, right? I run him down. And then I feel like, oh, he might get back if I don't load my throw up here. So I hit the button to throw the ball, okay? And then he hits the button. I think basically it might have been I might have been able to cancel last second, but basically it was following through. Then he hit the button to change. So I don't have a ton of time to react to change it back. But if you look at the time, by the time Brett gets the ball, this guy's got zero momentum, just shifted the other way, and is basically got 2/3 of the base path left to go. But because I can't throw it home because there's no pitcher covering there, he's got the entire base path to himself. I don't understand what the problem is. Then Brett doesn't decide not to take him out too, and then decides to throw it right there once the pitcher finally gets there. Just an overall frustrating mechanic. And then the next at bat, he's pitching. He ends up taking a few pitches, goes out and pitches, bunts with his pitcher. It gives me Frank Thomas, even though the ball is hit towards the second baseman, right? Gives me Frank Thomas instead of this guy charging. For some reason, they gave me the first baseman. And so he gets a base hit off this too. And it's just, oh my gosh. So frustrating. Why wouldn't the second baseman charge in, right? Like, why does he have that path to first base? You got to make them play intelligently, SDS, please. So, I don't know. Overall, just an outstandingly awful game at that point, and I just put me into such a bad mood. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the new cards themselves here. We're going to start with the new Feller. Obviously, we know it's Outlier. I guess I could go back a little bit. Here's his curveball. So here's like the arc on the curveball right away. So you can guys kind of see how it plays out, how it arcs. Goes from like a little bit near the top of the zone to below it. It's got a decent break on it, I'd say. Not a bad one. I don't mind it at all. I really like the 12-6. It was like kind of more vertical, and then he's got a slider to go horizontal with it. Here's his sinker. You can see the break on the sinker, which is not bad when you move it arm side there. See, it's, you know, I've seen some pretty bad ones. Let's watch it in motion here. Pretty good sink. I like I said, I expect you guys, and I think you guys should main this sinker because it's got really nice vertical and downward and horizontal movement. Now here's the fastball. This is the only one with the par size even reasonable. And yeah, my opponent, you know, obviously World Series level, he could generally hit Outlier, so I had to really, you know, do a thinking man's at bat. But like, if you look at the par sizes on a lot of these pitches, it is crazy how big they are. Like, look at the sinker par size. Let's go back to the sinker. All right, where's the sinker? So here's the sinker par size. You know, bottom-ish of the zone. Look how big that is. Just putting it in the middle of the zone is kind of crazy. All right, here we go. Here was that fly out. So I think that's one out. Skip forward to the next batter. Next up, we got Devers. He's in 500 with that card. Par size on, is this the changeup here? Ginormous, right? Like the really bad thing about this card is if you get it perfect, it'll generally go where you want, but like it could either be like hung or spiked with how big these pars are, and that's like so inconsistent. Now, the person that I was playing against was in chat and said this card was incredibly difficult to piece up. So yes, you will hang a couple pitches, but his stuff is so electric and so hard to hit because of the outlier, because of the sinker right there, because that like got that hump out of the hand, just like the slider. You thought that was gonna break into his ankles. It's really easy to get people to like swing poorly at, you know, good pitches for them because they expect something like more near the edge. They expect it to break out because it's moving so fast. And this is Hall of Fame difficulty, by the way. For those that were wondering, this isn't Legend, this isn't All-Star, this is Hall of Fame. So right split the middle. Too early on the sliders. Let's go back to a fastball away against them because it tunnels really well at that slider in. So yeah, we wanted too late on that one, so it did really well. Here's his cap. We're gonna try and pull the string on him this at bat. So overall, Bob Feller, he's like a must get, dude. I think he might be the second best pitcher in the game, even though he's wild. Like, it's, if you're decent with pinpoint, you are gonna throw up a lot of goose eggs, a lot of strikeouts with this guy too. Ooh, he almost got under that one out of the park. So he was timing up. He was waiting for that outlier fastball. So that's why I definitely recommend maining the sinker and then using the fastball as an out pitch. All right, let's go over to the hitters. So first hitter up will be Jimmie Foxx. And the first at bat, I just missed wildly. So you really can't take a whole lot of information with that. That one, look at that PCI placement. 125 contact. I completely missed the ball. And guess what? I get rewarded for it with a base hit. Absolutely embarrassing. All right, another one coming in, and I chop it over top, and I get thrown out at first base, sadly. So just missed that one there with Fox. He walked me. He was afraid of the double X, which is totally fine. Makes sense. I would be too. He's a stud. Here it is. Now, 102, it's 79 power at the worst stadium in the entire game. Field of Dreams. This place sucks. It is off the plate sinker. I got really good timing for an early pitch. But I just like pop it up and then it flies out to the warding track at, you know, basically underground. We're playing it under the sea here at Field of Dreams. So really didn't do a whole lot with that one. So I will say I judge cards based off how much BS they give you. Now, you saw Jimmie Foxx give me some really good BS for the base hit where I missed the ball with my PCI. But you saw right there, the power BS just isn't there. So, it's tough to say. I think against righty, he's an L. Lefty, he's a big W. You can even platoon this Jimmie Foxx if you want with like Joe Mauer. I don't know if it's worth it for you, but there's another walk that Jimmie Foxx took right there. Here is one bottom of the strike zone. You guys can see that, right? Yeah, bottom of the strike zone, but he pops it up. So, unfortunately, even against lefty, 85 power is just, if that's like, I don't know, a higher power guy, that might be a home run. But his contact was so high that maybe it didn't. Here's another 102 power sinker just off the PCI, and we were able to find a seeing eye ground ball. So, overall, I thought Jimmie played well, but yeah, so he gets like the BS hits, like singles and stuff. But he won't give you the BS home runs. And I don't know what you guys value so much. So, like, do you want one or the other? I really like the BS home runs. I just love hitting round trippers. I wanna get a guy with 120 power and make my opponents regret pitching to them, even if I miss the bat. Here's Soriano. Now, look at this, right? You're like, oh, outside bat, you're a little early. But, like, look at how weakly this was hit. Like, this was just, like, flared out there. 107 power, by the way, right? I was just talking about how much these, like, you know, hits matter, right? Yeah, obviously anybody's going to do well when they perfect the ball. But Soriano, the fact that all these things, like, this is an okay one. Here's a double for Soriano. Decently in the PCI. I hit actually pretty bad with Foxx today. But Soriano, even though I had a good PCI, he really let me down. So that's why I haven't really loved him. I don't love this card. Right here, again. Early on, a pitch down and in, almost to the center of the PCI, like maybe an inch away from the center of the PCI, and he like pops it up. And you're like, well, yeah, Foxx, it's a total pop-up. Yeah, but a good card gives me that BS, okay? A good card, that's how I rate good cards. If you give me the BS. And Alfonso Soriano didn't give me the BS. This one, 90-mile-per-hour sinker, I popped it up, end of the inning. That's because I suck. That was not on Soriano. This one, again, not on Soriano. Bad input. He flared it, but I couldn't get the flare hit. It lined out right at him because he's playing a little shallow against Soriano to right. Right here, good timing. Little low on the PCI, and we lined it straight out. So, unlucky there, too. Little outside the zone, but we had to... Was there 2 strikes here? I don't know. Maybe that was first pitch. Another pop out. So, overall, I was disappointed in Soriano. I think Jimmie Foxx was pretty decent, especially because he plays a rare position like catcher. There are some decent players at both second base and catcher. I would not waste the outfield spot on Soriano, even though he's a good defender there. So, overall, Soriano might make my top 5 second baseman, definitely. But I would prefer a few of the other guys. I think I'd prefer Polanco over him, Escobar over him. That I currently have because they're switch hitters. Betts versus let me take a look. Let me add Soriano here. Let's do these comparisons right here. Foscue, I would probably take over. The only thing Soriano's really got is speed and contact right over Foscue. So maybe I go Foscue there just because I like Foscue's swing pretty well. Any of those cards, maybe not there. Utley is much better if you can add a lefty to your lineup. Piguero, Leover. I'd probably take him over Soriano too. I really like this Leover. I probably wouldn't do Ramirez right now because his contact left is so bad. And any of these guys that I'd take, they'd probably about these Future Star 95s. I might equalize with him. I don't know. I'd probably take Soriano over a few of these dudes actually. And then Betts. Soriano over Betts, or Soriano kind of tied with Betts, I think is a fair point, whoever you like more. So, overall, that's not bad. As for the catcher, as for the pitcher, I think it's the second best in the game for Boob. We get Mauer. I'd probably take Mauer over Jimmie. I'd take... Carter against lefties so good. He's so bad against righties. Yeah, I think Jimmie's pretty equalized in power level. If you want more power, you go with like Henry Davis or like one of these guys. If you want more contact, you go with Jimmie. But these guys have such good defense. Jimmie is probably a little bit worse than the Future Stars catchers, just based off stats alone. He's an opposite field hitter. All these Future Stars, I believe, are whole field hitters. Gary Carter's a whole field. I think this Mauer is a whole field. So there's not really crazy. Then we got Adley and Posada, which are nice switch hitters there too. And then Taylor Ward's pretty cool against righties, as a catcher too. So that's it for the video. Sorry, I kind of rambled there at the end about these players and where I'd put them in the game. But yeah, absolutely. I think this Bob Feller might be number 2 in the game right now. Might have overtaken Yuri and Bobby Miller for me. Both Bobs are very similar, right? You know, they're wild men but have electric stuff. So they're pitched. You basically pitch them back-to-back games in almost exactly the same way. It's so funny how near they are. Slider, splitter, sinker, curveball. Slider, curve, change, which is a splitter and a sinker. They are literally exactly the same, aren't they? Maybe a little bit more break on Bobby Miller's. I don't know. That's a pretty good break there on the slider. The curve. Anyways, thanks for watching Call to Action. I'll see you tomorrow. Please like the video. Thanks.